Detroit Lions fans, this is Detroit Den 313, and today we're going to be talking about trench warfare. Trench warfare, trench warfare, trench warfare. A term that I gotta give the flowers to at Detroit Den 313, at least Steve Perkins. He brought that to Detroit Den 313, trench warfare, and that's where we're going today. But before we get going, hit that subscribe button because we need that and it helps us out tremendously. You guys are approaching that 10,000 number, and when we get to that 10K, the giveaway is going bananas. It's going bonanza. So, Steve, who the heck are we talking about in this trench warfare? Make it make sense to me because I'm excited.
First and foremost, well, last time we saw you yesterday, you had that little scruffle. Look at you today. They got that little baby face. I was asking you before we recorded, did you have school pictures today?
I did have school pictures today. My mommy.
I'm gonna need to get one of those for my wallet.
Yeah, my mommy said that she wanted me to make sure that I had on my Sunday's best. So I threw the Sunday's best on and got all cleaned up. So here we are. I'll make sure you get one wallet size for the fridge and the wallet.
Were you wearing the Debo flannel?
You know it.
These kids, they grow up so fast, I tell you. We're gonna be talking about a kid that is a massive kid. So when I say kid, I mean grown man physically, but age-wise, young kid, Milton Williams. All right. Yeah. I don't know how a lot of people aren't discussing him. First, let me get into some news yesterday that happened that I think will set the table for where we're going for the rest of free agency. According to, I wish I'd do a screen share, but I'm not prepared. Most of you guys already know by now that the NFL informed teams today that the 2025 salary cap will be roughly $277.5 million to $281.5 million. That is per Dan Graziano from ESPN. And I'm reading that tweet from Ari Myrov, I think is how you pronounce his last name. So we're getting a huge window for some money here. All right. This is good for the Lions. All right. We weren't in cap trouble when the cap was 20 million less. So now you're giving us a little bit more money to spend. Let's talk about a guy like Milton Williams from the Philadelphia Eagles, who's about to be a free agent this year. Will, how do you feel about him?
Hold on 1 second. I think that might be a pube on the microphone. Emily and I were doing some wild things in here the other day. Let me make sure. Okay, back. Anyways, Milton Williams. I can't be speaking into that thing, man. You guys don't know it. Back to the business. Milton Williams is a monster, man. He's a monster. And you said it, Steve. You said it. He's a baby. He's an absolute baby. And this is what excites me about this kid. Coming from that Philadelphia Eagles D-line that just went absolutely nuts and just sacrificed Patrick Mahomes live for everyone in the world to watch. Whether you were a football fan or you were a Taylor Swift fan, you watched Patrick Mahomes get sacrificed in Super Bowl Sunday, and it was awesome to watch. I will say that I did enjoy it. Talked about our boy Darius Slay getting his Super Bowl ring. I like that. But listen, Milton Williams played a major role in that. I seen a stat that came across earlier that kind of excited me that it was this. And let me reread it. I took a screenshot of it, and it just said Milton Williams has more career playoff sacks than TJ Watt and Micah Parsons combined. The dude shows up in the postseason, but he's just a athletic, versatile D lineman who's young, approaching the peak of his career, who's going to be in free agency in a position that the Detroit Lions need. And by need, I mean kind of need. So why does Will say kind of need? Because we kind of got an all-pro guy that's not going to be ready until the end of the season. So maybe if we could kick that can down the road, so to speak, as you say, Steve, and just have him come in and play alongside a guy like DJ Reader until Aleem gets back. And then maybe in certain situations you see, I don't know, Milton Williams, you see Aleem McNeil, you see Aiden Hutchinson, and you see whoever that draft pick that we pick on that other end for the foreseeable future. That excites me. And I want to know how you feel about it. Tell me.
Even if that picture includes Zadarius Smith at that other end, thoughts and prayers. Like if you sign a Milton Williams and you decide to roll with Zadarius Smith, and we're not going to get into the financial implications of after this date, we owe him this money. Don't care. We're just painting a picture here. That might be one of the most athletic defensive lines in football. And I know that the Eagles are, they're puffing their chest out. They're the champs. Their D-line carried them to the Super Bowl victory. But when I think of Hutch, a healthy Aleem McNeil, Milton Williams, and an athletic Zadarius Smith, William, we're going to be getting after the quarterback. So now we could be living in a world where we take that 28th overall pick. I don't know. I don't know what you do with it. You could literally, you'd literally have a luxury. I would still prefer to get a little bit younger and shore up that other defensive end. But if that's not a must or a huge need, if you still have three really dominant pass rushers out there with Zadarius Smith, who can get it done, where his role is going into like the fourth best option on that defensive line. If that's my weak spot, I could be okay with whatever happens at pick 28. So let me just set the table there. And again, that salary cap, we brought that up for a reason because we've talked a little bit about the Eagles salary cap, the Lions salary cap. They're paying a lot of guys. I don't see how they let him out of town. But if they're foolish, if they're absolutely foolish, I don't want to be in a position where I have to overpay. I don't want to get into a bidding war with the Eagles because if we're having to match that, he's probably just going to say, hey, I'll just stay in Philly. We already won one. Let's try to run it back. So I'm not going to overpay to get him here if he hits the free agent market. But if he decides to come to Detroit, I can't picture that the Detroit Lions wouldn't have the best defensive line. Just looking at his box score from the Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs, 2 sacks. Like him and Josh Sweat could have been, in my opinion, one of those two guys should have been Super Bowl MVP. They gave it to Jalen Hurts. It's tough to beat the quarterbacks and MVPs, but I thought that the defensive line was the best unit for the Philadelphia Eagles. That MVP should have went to someone on that defensive line. So I think he got possibly jobbed there. But Milton Williams with the Detroit Lions, William, 25 years old. He'll be 26 in April, still a young man. 6'3", 290 pounds. 290 pounds for a defensive tackle. That's an athletic build. All right. So we're talking about a guy who can go out there and win some one-on-one matchups with a bull rush, with a little finesse, a little pizzazz. William, I'm excited. I'm excited to think about it. Now I just need it to happen.
Yeah, it's just it's about paths, man. Before people hammer us, you know what I mean? Like it's about paths. It's about different paths for this thing to be able to be successful. Earlier, I was watching a conversation that Brad Holmes just recently had just talking about just being the executive of the year, talking about kind of his thought processes and how he goes about his business and what he's trying to do and just trying to continue to have that successful team. And we didn't go as far as we did the year before. And he just said, obviously, we need to get better. Our goal is to win a Super Bowl. We know that we need to get better, and we're going to get better. And this is just another path that we can do that. Why are we talking about this guy? Well, obviously, it's a position of need for us. But also, if you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, they got to pay some people, man. They got to make some decisions, So, hey, Josh Sweat's going to need to get paid. He said he may take a pay cut to stick around. I've seen the rumors. Okay. Now what are you going to do with Milton Williams? I've read in multiple articles that Milton Williams could be a guy that ends up being a cap casualty because he's going to want to get his bag, and his bag isn't going to necessarily be crazy. I mean, he's a rotational piece out there. We're still talking about Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis show. Let's not get it twisted.
Those are the two-headed monster, so he's their second wave.
So I mean, this is a dude that can play some damn good football who's going to be caught in the shuffle. Do you want to go out there and continue to be a second wave rotational piece, or do you want to potentially be a first wave rotational piece with the Detroit Lions? 25 years old, young pup, man, just ascending. He's ascending, man. He's elevating his game, reaching, getting to the point where he's going to be at that peak of his career. To me, in the NFL, that looks like 27 years old. You hit that 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, you're starting to peak. And then 30 is normally where you start to see the slide. So I don't know, man. Like I said, it's another path for me to success with bolstering this D-line, bolstering this trench warfare. And then I just look at it. Some of the guys we talked about, Shamar Stewart, hey, that could be another piece that we see added to this thing, man. You guys have tossed all types of guys out there, the Jordan Birches of the world, maybe in the second round, the Landon Jacksons we haven't talked about, James Pierce we talked about the other day. Like these are the moves that I think that can be made to bolster this D-line in a hurry. No different than we bolster our secondary, I feel like, in a hurry in last year's draft, even though Ennis Rakestraw didn't stay healthy. We could be looking at a secondary that is bolstered if everybody stays healthy in this upcoming season. Re-signed Carlton Davis, who came out in a podcast a couple of days ago and said that Coach Campbell is his favorite coach ever of all time.
That's saying
so
something.
so that's telling me, free agent, you're in the free agent market right now. Typically, if you're a guy that doesn't want to come back to the Detroit Lions, you don't put stuff like that out there. You know what I mean? Hey, I feel like that's telling the Detroit Lions, hey man, come back and get me, man. Because if I know I'd personally want to go run it back with my favorite coach ever. Right? You resign Carlton Davis, man. You go get a Meek Robertson, healthy. Ennis Rakeshaw coming back healthy. Terry and Arnold. Listen, man. Yeah, and BB who can play the slot or the safety position. I feel like we don't have the secondary issues that we had in the past if we stay healthy. And I'm sure we're gonna, like I said, we'll either grab a guy in free agency or we'll grab another depth piece in the draft. There's a couple of guys out there that you're gonna get in our prospect shows, but it's trench warfare. It's winning up front, offensive line, defensive line. Milton Williams pushes that needle to me. He's a guy that can assist us immediately in the relief of Aleem McNeil until Aleem McNeil gets back, whether it's October, November, December, whenever it is. And even when he does come back, I don't expect Aleem McNeil to be Aleem McNeil until the following season anyways. So even when he does come back, man, I'm not expecting him to be playing the best football of his life like he was. I think we're probably 2 years away from that. So it is, man. It's a position need. We need somebody to be in them trenches out there with a DJ Reader, and I don't think that is crazy to maybe hope for a situation to where maybe you go sign Levi Onwuzurike back to the Detroit Lions, and you get a Milton Williams. You know what I mean? So you get that versatile piece, man, that can go out on the edge or can play down inside. You got Milton Williams, you got DJ Reader. Kyle Pecco is another guy that's not going to break the bank. I think this is a push the needle move, man. This is a move that makes sense. This is a move that won't break the bank. And if it's Christmas morning, it'll be Milton Williams and Josh Sweat. That's all.
There's only one thing I think you forgot to mention with all his, where he's at in his career is he's checked the biggest box that most people will never check, and that's he's got that ring. All right. He's got that Super Bowl ring. You can't take that away from him. He's going to always have that ring. Most people, I know this was a thing like way back in the day. You win that ring, then you go get your money. Okay. So if the Detroit Lions are willing to pay, I think he's worth a fair amount. I don't know what the market value is going to be for a defensive tackle. We'll find out in free agency once that first one gets signed. He's kind of the measuring stick. We'll see who that is. But I don't know. I truly think you're right when you're talking about moving the needle. Milton Williams, I'm going to just start calling him Milton Bradley because I know he ain't coming here to play no games. William, like he's going to be absolutely violent. Okay, you put him out on the D line. Let me ask you this: the defensive line that I threw out there with Hutch, a healthy Aleem, Milton, and would you be okay with Zadarius Smith? And how would you feel about that 28th overall pick if that's the defensive line starting 2025? I know Aleem won't be there, but let's just pretend he is. Would you be okay with it?
Yeah, if you add Nick Scorton or Shamar Stewart or Jordan Birch or James Pierce or Michael Williams or Mike Green or like the list goes on, Josiah Stewart or Landon Jackson or
Mason Graham.
Mason Graham would be, a Christmas morning. So listen, yeah, where there's pieces out here in this NFL draft, there's pieces. So yeah, I would be okay if Zadarius Smith is out there in that second wave. Maybe he plays the first wave week 1, 2, and 3, week 4 and week 5 and week 6 into the next 5 years. He's going to be on wave 2 though. You know what I mean? And that's how I'm thinking about it. There is edge pieces all over this NFL draft. It's a matter of what you like. We've shown in the past we like that Levi Onwuzurike body style. Well, that's out there, and those guys that I mentioned in the beginning. Nick Scorton is the one that's the big burly athletic dude. That's one right there. Or Shamar Stewart, man. I know a couple of people that have hammered me about my belief in him. I think he's going to fly up draft boards, because of his athleticism. I think that he's going to go test crazy, and all the people that are thinking that he's a second round, third round pick are going to see, okay, man, this is a first round pick, man, and somebody's going to take a chance on him. So, but these are 300-pound dudes that can play the edge position. It's going to be fun. It's going to get fun. That's what I'm expecting at pick 28. I'm expecting something like that. Now, do we have a curveball show that everybody's going to be upset about? Maybe there's an offensive guy that can get pulled at there 28 too. But it's about trench warfare is our hope here at Detroit in 313, where we're going to talk about all things. But to me, Steve, adding any of those pieces that I just named to that defensive line that we're talking about, with guys like re-signing Levi Onwuzurike for a good solid deal, grabbing guys like Milton Williams, having a guy like DJ Reader, having a healthy Aiden Hutchinson, Steve, a weakness has now become a strength, which I think should be a trademark for Brad Holmes, because that's what he does. Oh, our receivers are trash. Let me go just load up on a receiving core. Let me fix that right now. You know what I mean? I think one of the best things that he did is sign one, to me, probably a top 3 wide receiver in this league, in Timothy Patrick. Man, I mean, the only
Top
one
3 in the league, William.
You know what I mean? Like
Top
only
3
one
in the
can beat.
league. Come on.
You know what I mean? Timothy the GOAT is what they call
He's
him in the
not even.
street.
He's barely third on the team.
Yeah.
Not in
You
the
know what I
league.
mean?
Come on.
Like, what are we talking about? They call him Timothy the GOAT in the streets, man. You know what I mean?
Stop.
Nah, I'm teasing, but nah, man, we find those pieces that we need to push the needle. Now,
stop it.
Obviously, got some opponent about him.
Stop it. Get some help. Stop it.
Why is it on loop?
Yeah, we ain't broke that out in a while. But obviously, I'm clowning on the Timothy Patrick, man. But he was a guy that was a phenomenal role player, man. Phenomenal role player, and that's what we do, man. We find guys that fit that niche, man. Like a practice squad guy that's going to help this team for, I don't know, until the Lions decide that they no longer want to be a franchise in TK85. We got them dudes, man, just in those right spots, right, to get the jobs done. I think you're going to see, in all seriousness, Waymo's going to take another step forward next year with Coach Morton. We got Amon-Ra St. Brown, obviously, Sam Laporta. If something's a weakness, Coach attacks it. Secondary last year going back-to-back corners. If something's a weakness, he attacks it. And in the past, we've went Aleem McNeil, Levi Onwuzurike in the draft. If something is a weakness, he attacks it, man. We talk about those trenches.
Aiden Hutchinson and Josh Pascal. He doubles down quite a bit.
Draft. Yeah, that's what I'm expecting in this draft. I'm expecting him to double down on this D line, and I don't know what combination of dudes that is going to be. We got our suspicions, but I think it's going to be one of those 300-pound edge guys, and it's going to be one of those explosive, smaller, more slender, leaner guys, like the guy that we talked about yesterday in James Pierce, or maybe a Josiah Stewart. I think you might get a combination of both. Maybe you get a Shamar Stewart, and then you go get a Josiah Stewart, you know what I mean, to go along with it, or maybe it's Mike Green. Who knows, man? Who knows? Depends on who's available at pick 28. What goes down at this Pajama Olympics. We're just here to break down all these players for you guys and give you the sauce.
Let me tell you something, William.
Talk to me.
Let me tell you something. If we got Mike Green and Milton Williams this offseason, where do you want to sit on the plane to San Francisco? Window, the aisle? Are we driving? Because if that foursome stays healthy, we're going to be getting after quarterbacks. All right. If you make quarterbacks run for their lives, Super Bowl just happened a couple weeks ago. We've been talking about how to make elite quarterbacks not so elite, and it's make them uncomfortable with defensive lines. The Philadelphia Eagles didn't even have to blitz in that Super Bowl. They just rushed 4. If you're winning with 4, and then you got Kirby Joseph back there, you got Brian Branch back there, you got Alex Anzalone doing a little, his games, watching the quarterback, seeing what he's doing, Jack Campbell. If you got all these guys just sitting back in coverage and they don't have to do anything, or they're waiting for a quarterback to make a mistake, we're going to jump all over it. That's exactly what the Philadelphia Eagles did. That's the recipe. I've said that was the recipe way before they even won the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes and those elite quarterbacks, if you just put them on their ass or you make them run, you don't let them get upfield and take off, they'll make mistakes. They get antsy. They get a little anxious running around there. They don't like to hold on to the football because they don't know who's coming from that blind side. They don't know where everyone is. I'm telling you, man, if that's our defensive line, Aiden Hutchinson, Aleem McNeil, Milton Williams, and then we get aggressive maybe in the draft and go get a Mike Green from Marshall, we're going to have the most dominant defensive line in the history of football, William. I'll just go ahead and say it. In the history of football, there will not be a more dominant defensive line. And I saw a stat today that Aiden Hutchinson was on pace to have like 28.5 sacks before he got hurt.
I've seen that.
What are we talking here? Are you nuts?
Yeah, I mean, we know Aiden Hutchinson though, man. He's a guy that gets them in bunches, man. So he goes on his droughts for a little bit, and then he'll next thing you know, he'll get 5 sacks, 6 sacks in a couple of games. So paces, whatever. I just want to put out there a product that is just relentless and tenacious and aggressive, and I think that we can do that in this draft. Like we said, this thing is all about pass, but your catchphrase, man, is trench warfare. Mine is just athleticism. And it's all over this draft. It's in free agency. I want to elevate the athleticism of this D line. I want to elevate the athleticism of our team, really, so to speak, because we haven't truly got into it yet. But I think that the athleticism of our offensive line can get elevated too. I think that's something that Christian Mahogany can bring, even though he's a bit of a mauler as well. I think he can elevate some athleticism, but I think there's some guys out here in this draft too, from an offensive line standpoint, that can elevate the athleticism and get us to be able to do some of these things out here, getting these in the crazy screen games and pulling guys and doing all of this stuff, man. Athleticism. Love Levi Onwuzurike, but I'm not going to say that he's the most physical, athletic person in the world, especially when you start talking about him at the edge. He's not an athletic edge. There's some 300-pound dudes that are athletic in this draft. There's some smaller, undersized guys that are athletic in this draft. I watched that D-line when they were getting after Mahomes. They were athletic, freaky athletic. Get some more athletes, elevate this athleticism, lights out for anybody who comes in the fourth field.
The NFL Combine is a week from today. I didn't realize that, William. I did not realize. I just looked it up while you were talking. I'll just tell you this. When those defensive linemen come out for their workouts, phones on Do Not Disturb. I'm focused in because I'm expecting some top-notch athleticism. I want to see who's putting in a good workout. And then we're going to take that information. We're going to watch their game film and see if it matches up. There's a handful of guys, so I'm expecting that it really will. There's a couple guys might slide down. There's going to be some guys that slide up. So a week from today, we're going to have a good picture of who's going to be roughly available. All right. We do a pretty good job on narrowing it down to 5 to 6 guys that it's most likely going to be. And then on draft day, you'll start hearing some rumors and some stuff beefing up. But a week from today is when we're really going to have like our first look at an accurate draft. And that's probably, we got to get our mock draft ready too, because we got the combine next week. I really didn't realize that. So
I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm ready. Milton Williams, if we add him, what on a scale of give that a grade if we were to sign Milton Williams? Dollars not into account. We're not factoring in contracts or anything. What would you give the grade if we signed him?
I can't give it a grade, man. I'd just be excited, man. It'd be a great piece. It'd be a great piece. I don't want to give it a grade. I got to give the full picture a grade. I gotta give free agency a grade, and then I got to give the draft a grade because they all go hand in hand.
Boring answer. He'd be an A+, and it's not even a question. Might be my number. I don't know if he's my number one free agent. He's in my top.
They sign him and don't do anything else. It's like, hey,
I don't think we need much else. Do we bring back Kevin Zeitler?
We got to bring back Kevin Zeitler.
That's probably my number one priority. You got to keep that offensive line intact. So if we do that and sign a Milton Williams, can I keep Carlton Davis too? I'd call it an. I'd call it. Yeah, I'd call it an A. If I kept the two pieces that are important, Zeitler, and I think we really do need to keep Carlton Davis. I think that's important. And then I sign a Milton Williams. That's A+ free agency right there. Everything else is just sugar, just gravy on top of the potatoes.
Right on.
Anything else for tonight?
That's it for me, man.
Stick around, hit that like button, help us get to that 10K. This jersey in here, it's burning a hole through this door. It needs a new home. It needs to be on somebody's body. Kind of like Emily and Will were doing at the beginning of this episode when we were talking about pubes. Hit that like button. We'll be back later with another show.